Hey, it's Vane here again, and just want to update you on the current cosplay projects. I started out with a standard pillowcase that is a lime green, and I kind of scavenged also from a work shirt that I don't wear anymore. I just trimmed the bottom portion of it because it was just way too long and I had it extra and I didn't want to go to Joann's, so I just started on this. If you notice the small details, you'll notice the lime green thread going over the yellow, and I kind of just took that as a small compromise to something being more professional looking, but I am on a time constraint, so I just took the liberty of just continuing on through that rather than stopping and starting with the yellow thread on this section. And on here, basically what I did was I flipped the back side of the stripe like so, and then I just sewed a line right here that would eventually allow me to flop it over and you wouldn't see the thread like you see on this side. And then on this side I just took again creative liberties with using a yellow thread just straight on through, and unless you look really closely you can't really notice it too much. I eventually turned it out to look like this. Basic construction was just sewing the edges together. This measures about 10 inches in width, and just the whole length of the pillowcase just from front end to the back and just split down the center. So I took your basic layering shirt with the v-neck collar and I decided to cut the sleeves off. If you'll notice, the cut and shape of it is actually very form-fitting. That reason is this is actually from the juniors or girls section of the shop, and the reason why I went with that was it would allow me to have a much more fitted shirt without doing too much modifying, and I'll just be cutting off the sleeves anyway, so it didn't really matter whether or not I would keep it from men's or girls. Essentially, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference because I'm butchering it too much. And I took safety pins once I did a test fit and pinned it to the bottom to make sure it fit the right position. And I went ahead and sewed a little bit more of the shirt with a standard straight stitch. But on the back side, because I needed it to be a little bit more flexible for how fitted the shirt is, I used a zigzag stitch so it could allow a little bit more of a stretch. I have the ribs section cut out of the shirt, and I achieved that by using a zigzag stitch along the edges, but I reinforced it with a section from the top collar of a shirt that I had scrapped from my Ryuko Matoi cosplay. And if you'll see right here, I have the section pinned for the ribs, and this is approximately an inch wide, and I measured it to about maybe 5.5 inches on each side, front and back. I'm working on the gloves, which I will be cutting the fingertips off of, and I have some scrap EVA foam that I sectioned off into these curved little sections. These are curved in a way that will fit over the knuckles and will then attach to these little parts that I've heated up with an iron. Took a nickel sized craft foam section and I used the hot iron on top of the paper like so in order to heat up the craft foam, and then I used this magnet sphere in order to apply the kind of curved shape for the knuckle pieces. Then I'll use a couple brushes of Mod Podge to seal the foam, and then I'll go ahead and paint it and then brush it over once more with the Mod Podge. Alright, while I'm letting these knuckle pieces dry, I'm moving on to the wrist portion and the gloves portion of the cosplay. And I'm going to be cutting the fingertips and then folding them on the inside of the glove. And I also have a leftover scrap from a longer glove piece that I used for my Ryuko Matoi cosplay. And what I'm doing is I flipped it inside out because the inside or the outside was a little bit shinier than what I'd like, and so the inside is a little bit more of a matte finish. And so I flipped it, I pulled the thread out, and then I flipped the outside or the inside outside, and I'm going to sew it, and that way I'm able to continue with the cosplay. And so it's going to flow like this, and I'm going to cut this in half and move on from there. What I've done is take a strip of tape that I taped to the bottom section of each of these knuckle pieces, and I went ahead and once they're dried with the Mod Podge, I use a combination of an espresso, a copper, and a gold in order to achieve this type of finish with the paint. I need to do a couple layers, and then once it's all done, I'm going to glue them onto the gloves, which I am finishing up right here. This is the top portion, and this is the bottom portion of the EVA strip that I covered in Mod Podge first, and then I layered about 2 or 3 layers of the gold and copper blend paint, and I just trimmed it to fit around my wrist. And I'm going to use mechanics wire, which can be found at any hardware store, which is really easily moldable, and a set of dikes, which are these that you can use to cut them up with, and you'll fit the wire to where it'll go inside that way, and you can curve it and bend it so it'll hook on the other end right here, and it just pokes straight through. And that's how I plan to do my clasp. We're currently road tripping to Anime, California, and unfortunately and fortunately I am riding solo, so there will be a bunch of karaoke in the car. I finished most of my cosplay with Joestar. I just have a little bit more of the fitment and styling of the wig to do, which I'll do most likely for day 2. Day 1, I've decided to go with Rei Ryugazaki, and Sunday I think I might surprise myself and do something random. It wouldn't be California without a little bit of traffic. And we can build this dream together, stand this storm forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. You guys didn't know that song? That song's from Starship, and the song is called Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from the Mannequin soundtrack. I was reminded of it when I was watching the music video for Chromeo. Both the movie and the music video is something worth watching, and if you're into 80s movies like I am, it's a little cheesy, it's a little classic, it's a little bit of like weirdness, but then again, we're all a little bit weird. Oh Lord, gotta get the right tactics to turn you on. Ain't good life, wanna be the papa, you can be the mom. Oh oh. Off of Instagram, I was catching a lot of awesome cosplays, some from JoJo and some from Kill la Kill. Oh shoot, I just rickrolled myself. Anyways, yeah, I was really looking forward to some brand new cosplays, some from Akame ga Kill, definitely some people that gave me some shout outs, and just really cool stuff. And hey, there's some people that were like, yo, I want to go see you at your panel, and you should go, because you can get a chance to get the goodie bag from DBZ Revival of F, and by the time this airs, you guys will probably be up and ready for it. But anyways, upward and onward, I hope to see you guys there. Woo! Oh no! Ah! I just realized that I left my scarf hanging in my room, and I completely spaced it. Yeah, that just happened. I have everything else but the scarf, and I'm a little upset with myself. Yep. We are back I remember this familiar corner from back when I first visited WonderCon, and it was pretty cool. Pretty much just gonna be checking into the hotel and gonna be working on deciding a cosplay because it's actually still 100 degrees outside.